around the clock, sports all the time. But that's never going to work. That's ridiculous.
Just remember to have fun out there today. And if you lose, I'll kill you.
This is Tall Can Audio.
Seriously, this thing is going to be a cultural disaster.
Away we go, another week. We are back in the saddle in the Tall Can Audio studio. We don't call it that. I guess we call it the TCA studio here in beautiful Bytown, Canada. Matt over here, Rob over there. What are you saying today, man?
I'm still wondering about the sandwich.
Yeah. It's not happening.
It's not happening.
It's not happening.
Give up the dream, Rob.
Yep.
Give up the dream.
Yep.
A nice grilled cheese with bacon.
That would be great right now, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Man, that would be good.
I've got, I don't know, man. I got the new air fryer out there. New as in the last few months.
Yeah.
And I've tried a lot of things in it. Enjoy it a lot. Was a easy thumbs up on the purchase after the fact. But my sister had been telling me, you haven't lived till you've done the air fried grilled cheese. It was only okay.
Yeah, well, too much hype.
That's it. That probably was the problem. It was built up too much. And really, like, it's a grilled cheese sandwich. What are you going to do to... Now, I do know that there are some of these gourmet grilled cheese establishments popping up. Some of them, food truck adjacent.
Yeah.
So power to... But most of that is ingredients and,
Yeah, apple... Like, you putting apple slices...
No.
Ever in your...
No.
Like, what are we doing here?
No.
Beat it.
Beat it.
Like when McDonald's went, oh, well, would you like apple slices instead of fries? And you're like, would I be at McDonald's? Would that be where I am if I
know
wanted
a kid who chooses the apple slices, but I think that was, the kid is at an age where you can still program them a little bit to be like, you love apple slices. You're going to find this. The moment the kid has his first McDonald's French fry.
Yeah.
Over. What? Game over.
Gio! Yeah, no, get out of here with that.
Yeah. We're on social media at Tall Can Audio. Would love to hear from you there, as long as you're saying nice things. And otherwise...
Beat it!
Yeah, we'll hit you with the block button. No problem. Follow along wherever you're hearing us right now. It's been a couple of weeks, man. Things are good. Things are all right.
Feels like yesterday.
Okay.
Wasn't it yesterday?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, technically, the listener's hearing this Monday, and we recorded it Sunday. So if you want to play fast and loose with the rules there.
Things are not as good for me as they are for you.
Okay.
Matt blowing out candles and stuff. Because today is Matt's birthday.
Yesterday, yeah.
As of recording.
Yeah.
Matt's birthday.
It's great. I bought myself a cake. That's the way things go at 42.
I was going to say, welcome to it. You get to a certain spot where you're like, I'm going to have a party. Okay.
I saw a great meme a couple of weeks ago in this very vein that was like that feeling you get when you spend your Father's Day running around buying gifts for your wife's father. Preparing for the barbecue she's having for him that afternoon.
Yeah. Somehow, in the sandwich generation, you have kids, but you are still a kid, and somehow you still are insignificant. And it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Yeah, Father's Day, beat it with that.
Let's have a beer.
Beers.
Yep.
Yeah, right. I can do that. I could be easily talked into that.
Cool.
What do you have over there today, Matt?
Okay. I'm caught off guard here. The ability to go first. I am circling back to our friends at Whippersnapper because, as I was saying to you in the green room, things have been shifted around, right? We were having some work done outside the studio door here. And
you don't say.
So there was beers being shifted from one fridge to another. Where did certain things end up? Sort of trying to get things stacked back. And I found this that I ordered April. So it had been pushed to the back of the fridge here. Something from Whippersnapper that I hadn't had before. This is called Black Sunshine, a 6% dark lager from Whippersnapper that I remember being very intrigued by. And then apparently it was pushed right off my radar. Well,
immediately something else came to look at
well,
that shiny thing.
Yeah,
look at that.
The thing that came was water under my hardwood floor, and suddenly beers were being pushed all over the place and out of view. So that's what I'm going to ride with over here. I've obviously been looking forward to this since April with patchy memories of having forgotten it existed. So
actually drinking it, you've already had it and you loved it.
Maybe. That'd be great too. It's all new to me now, man.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great. I have got something today that I am actually really looking forward to. It's. What do you think? How's that going over there?
I haven't sipped it yet.
Okay. This is a gift from sister-in-law, Heather, who has been kind enough in the past to provide down in Peck.
Yes. Prince Edward County.
Yeah, the counties. So she was back down there last weekend and swung by All My Friends Brewing and has brought me Gusher number 9.
Okay.
So
Gusher.
yeah, well, so you and Versace had that, and
Tea.
the rest of them blew up in my basement. So I actually never got any of Gusher number 8.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
The one before was a pineapple sort of marshmallow, outstanding.
Yeah.
I remember raving about it. So this is Gusher number 9, the 9th edition, coming in at 4.5%. It is an orange creamsicle. So I am...
Soft.
Yeah. Anyways, so how is that first pull over there?
Very nice. It's got a little smoke to it that I'm enjoying. It does say here oak aged. So often that comes with a little bit of that bourbon or a little bit of that smokiness to it, which we all know I enjoy. And I'm enjoying this one very much right now here on the first pull or so. So over there, hopefully more satisfying than the open was.
You ever have an orange Julius?
No, I don't think I have. In fact, I know I haven't.
So why would you say I don't think?
I was pondering it and letting it food court, something.
Yeah,
no.
I am getting sort of orange juice right up front, like a Minute Maid almost, right? But it has that creamy finish. It's intriguing. It's the kind of thing that makes you go, try me again. Have another pull at this, my friend.
Like I wasn't gonna.
Yeah, but it's nice when it encourages you, calls you back.
Right.
As opposed to, do I want to have another pull of that? Mm-hmm. Maybe not. But yeah, and I'll be interested. It could be colder. I'm slightly concerned about that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That seems like something that would have fallen at your discretion. If it's not cold, it's...
Yeah, no. It was in the fridge at home, and it was in the fridge here. So it's not like it was sitting anywhere, but somehow it's, temperature-wise, has come up a bit short.
So the good listener heard from you last week, but you haven't technically been in the studio for a couple of weeks now.
It's true.
What's going on in your world, man? Anything new we need to know about? Anything that the listener needs to get caught up in the land of Rob?
Nope.
Oh. You come in like just, I got things to tell you people. Sit back, enjoy the tale, and...
All kinds of things, though, in terms of, like, lots happening, right? But, over to see Andy a couple of times.
Yeah.
Had my younger brother's 50th out there.
Yeah.
Was a great day. And then out to my older brother's last night. Mm-hmm. And got a little greasy, a little, too much probably. So I'm feeling a little winded. I'm playing hurt today.
Yeah, the last time you were in here, I think I was playing a little hurt. We had both just been over. We were celebrating the new pint.
Ooh, doctor.
And, I held up better than I thought I would. We talked about it.
You're a trooper.
Well, I was going back and forth between the 10% Beautiful Bytown Black IPA and the Needle Light.
See, I didn't go back and forth enough. I kind of held serve there with 10% for a bit.
I held strong with that strategy for the first couple hours. In the last hour, it got away from me a little bit. Somebody showed up and handed me one of ours that they'd bought for me, and then I decided I can't be here and not have the Mr. Brown has gone coconuts. So you start mixing some things in at the end, kind of lost the plot a little bit. But I got some messages or some social media like, your voice sounds like shit. And you're like, yeah, okay. Thanks. It's very helpful.
Not just your takes.
No. We're used to that.
Yes.
Now your voice sucks too.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Guess what? Thanks for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate the encouragement.
On this day in 1979, the Winnipeg Jets, Edmonton Oilers, Quebec Nordiques and Hartford Whalers welcomed into the National Hockey... I shouldn't say welcomed. Accepted into the National Hockey League.
Like an enema.
As the WHA folds. And I only bring it up, I see this stuff all the time. Our buddy Mike Comito every day on Twitter is throwing down the different, in June, July, August, sometimes these are a little more interesting than so-and-so scored 6 points in a big win over whatever. And so this was when the NHL absorbed the teams that it deemed worthy from the WHA and let the rest of them die a horrible death. And I was kind of going through and I wanted to ask you what you thought of those 4 franchises was the most successful one. And it's interesting because...
Sorry, and you're judging success by...
Well, this is it. I was going to leave it vague, but you're forcing me right away to not. But the Oilers immediately become a powerhouse in the NHL with the Gretzky and Messier thing. The Quebec Nordiques aren't successful in Quebec, but the franchise goes on to have tons of success in Denver, right? A couple of cups, 3, I think, now since they've moved. Winnipeg left, went to Arizona, then another one came back. I don't think we can count the current Winnipeg. I think you would have to call that initial Winnipeg run a failure. Seems harsh. They had good crowds. They were like a lot of teams that got into trouble constantly having to run into those Oilers in the 80s.
Yeah.
And Hartford, again, didn't really work out, but Carolina worked out, has been a model franchise lately. Even before that, went to the Cup final in 2002, won a Stanley Cup in 2006. I'm just sort of curious, with one of those moments where the league grew, brought in 4 new friends, and they've all taken different faces and different routes. I guess the Oilers would easily be both based on number of cups and the fact that they never left. The most successful, but
so you've worked your way right around it.
Yeah, you can leave if you want.
I don't even need to answer.
I'm getting used to doing these on my own.
I don't even need to do the answer the question now. Yeah, I think anytime you have the other 3 franchises have left, and the other one that remained has won 5 Stanley Cups, has been to 3 others.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. That is, and not only that, has had 2 of the top 6, 7 best players in the history of the game.
Yes. Maybe 3, depending on how you feel about Mess.
Yeah. See, I
top 5 point get. See, I don't like Mark Messier very much, but was he not at this point? Is he not 3rd in the league in all-time points?
Yeah,
or still 2nd?
Yeah, I think that's your Mark Recchi on steroids.
Sure.
Right, longevity, like huge.
Yep.
Number of years played. Like obviously.
I think it was the 04-05 lockout that finally knocked him out of the league.
Put him down.
Yeah, exactly.
Like so many other guys. Like that lockout.
That killed a lot of careers.
A lot of careers.
Yeah. The other 3, 2
all-timer jerseys, though.
Whalers.
The Whalers and the Nordiques.
Yeah.
Like those are...
And honestly, man, I got time for the original Jets logo and get up to...
Looked like it was from Hot Wheels or something, right?
Okay.
I didn't really go in for it.
Okay.
Too much.
I look at those other 3 franchises, and I guess as like Winnipeg, sad as it is to say, is probably the failure. Lost your team. Like the other 2 moved, but continued to exist. I guess Utah now is but it's never won a cup, that franchise.
Yeah. So Utah,
the other 2
Utah is the
Jets,
if
the
you
OG
follow
Jets.
The breadcrumbs, yes, it is the original Jets.
And I mean, even there are people, remember, they went out of their way to say this isn't a relocation, it's it's a new franchise, but it is taking some of the history with it. That whole thing was weird. I don't know, man.
I think if you leave, like that's it.
Okay.
There is no connection. So when you talk about Hartford going to Carolina,
yeah.
That's it, man. The Whalers are dead.
Right.
Boom. There is no life after. Like the Avs want to continually sort of trot out that sort of 3rd jersey, the one they use at the outdoor game.
It's so funny to me that you go there first. I think of Hartford every year, or Carolina, like once a year, doing Whalers Heritage Night. You're like, fuck you. You took our team. Like, the Colorado one hints at it.
Yeah.
Carolina wears their jersey.
Do they play the brass bonanza?
They do.
Because I love the brass.
I know we do.
Yeah, man. Like, that's, you're just like, woo.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've gone, it's like the Expos are no more. They're the Nationals. There is no...
Right.
There's no holdover. Records don't count. To me, this is...
Yeah.
And nobody has come knocking on my door from the NHL saying, what do you think, Rob?
Yeah, tell me.
But to me, the team is gone. That's it. There is no carryover like from, Ilya Kovalchuk and his Thrashers goals now is part of the Winnipeg Jets franchise. That's it.
Phil Housley's Phoenix Coyote numbers or,
So to me, that is the thing. And it's funny because...
So are all three of those others failures as franchises?
Yeah.
Okay.
You suck. And you don't deserve a team again.
Wow.
Sorry, Winnipeg. And you couldn't. You had a President's Trophy winning team.
Winnipeg got a team again.
I know, but they can't support it.
Wow.
You still suck. Okay. You still suck, Winnipeg.
Speaking of kicking people when they're down.
Anyways.
You and your President's Trophy can get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, well, the 11,000 people a night who saw it, good for you guys. No, I got a soft spot for Winnipeg. I do. The Jets, anyways.
Yeah.
I don't like the logo. And
you didn't like either logo.
The city's a bit of a dump.
I don't really like the new logo. Like I said, I liked the original.
I think I like the new one better than the original.
Okay.
But they do have Jonathan Taves there now.
Yeah. What did you think of that? Like, I think he was always... Like, that was an easy fit. One of two or three places we could see him ending up.
Right.
So I don't think I'm surprised he's there. What did you think of the contract?
Well, are the numbers being reported that the $2 million base?
$2 million base, and then like $500,000 for every 10 games he plays. The contract could top out at $7 million. If you go deep enough into the playoffs and he plays, 20 games, 30 games, 50 games, when you add it all up, it's a $7 million contract. If he, what freaks me out about it and makes me think it's actually a brutal contract. He doesn't have to, there's no points built into it. There's no scope. He just has to exist for 50 games. Is he good enough to play fourth line left wing for you for 50 games? That's $5 million right there.
Where do I sign up for that?
Where do you sign up for that, man?
It's actually $2.5 million.
Well, it's whatever it is. However it grows, I think 50 is the last one.
Okay.
And that's $5 million if he reaches those, and then the extra $2 million comes in the playoffs if they go to the
I was only
final.
going by if it's 10 games, $500,000.
Yeah.
Then you go bam bam, 2.5 million. Anyways, it's still
because it's $2 million base and then 500 on top of that as you start building it up, right? Each one. Anyway.
All right, I don't want to drag.
No. It who's paying? Forget the fact that he's missed
2 years.
Yeah. Who wants to pay a 37-year-old center possibly $7 million? It's a terrible fucking contract.
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Who,
I guess.
Who doesn't
can't get free agents.
This is it.
You can't even get the hometown guy to stay for.
It's not even stay. Come.
Yeah.
Come. I will go with him. It's to me. I don't know, and I don't have high expectations for him.
I don't either.
And I don't understand why with these incentive-laden contracts, it is always, like you look at Connor Brown's that he signed a couple of years ago in Edmonton. Yeah, it was like, if you make it to 20 games, there's $1 million. And you're like, why aren't they? I understand, give me a threshold for dollars. Yes, that's true. And make it 40 games, whatever, and make it $1 million. That's fine.
Yeah. If it turns because the rationale is simple here for Taves, or at the time for Connor Brown. If you stink and we can't even play you, we don't want to have given you a $4 million contract.
Right.
So it starts as a $2 million contract, and if you can go, then we'll pay you. But we don't want to be locked into that. So I understand the idea of it.
But there needs to be production.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, and I think you need to marry both of those together.
Yes.
It needs to be a hybrid. It can't just
if you have played 50 games, we need you to be at 45 points or 40 points or something, right? Like marrying these things together. I'm listening to TSN 1050 the other day, and they're talking about, it would be so great for Winnipeg if he could come back and be dropped in there. What they need is him as their 2C. I'm like, if you are expecting that guy, any 37-year-old center, now we get into the medical stuff he's been through, the fact he's been gone for 2. Get any thought in your head of that guy being anybody's second-line center, let alone a team that just won a President's Trophy, out of your head. At best, in my opinion, a third-line center. And I'm not paying any third-line center at 37 years old $5 million just to exist.
Well, and they're one of those teams that you go, yeah, we love our first line.
Yeah.
And we have that great third line.
Yep.
And you're like, so we could just, they would like him to be,
of course,
that 2C. Because if you take Lowry and you put him in that spot, it just doesn't.
No, it's not enough.
It doesn't work, right? And so.
Well, they went out and tried it with Brandon Tanev. Not like he's kind of ideally a 3C.
Yeah.
As well, I would think.
Well, once you have too many of those, then you're like, I
am a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Yeah. We don't want to rob from that line to bolster that line. And then you don't have any. You just have one, the first. So it's a lot of wishful thinking. Like, I think he's going to come back and he's going to be great on draws.
Sure.
I think he's gonna be kind of a good leader.
Forget the money. What do you think he ends up as on that roster? Like, ideally slotted. What is he walking back into? Still capable of, and points wise, position wise, responsibility wise.
I think you hope that he can. He can take defensive zone draws.
Yeah.
I think you hope that he comes up with half a point a game, 40 points.
Yeah, okay.
I think you're kind of looking at, if he came up with 40 points, I think they would be ecstatic. The
Ottawa Senators come out on July 1st and say to you, we have just signed a 37-year-old center. We want him to play on our third or fourth line. We expect he can probably help kill penalties. Be a good guy in the room. We don't want to take that away from him. Although,
as Jason York always says, good in the room, stay in the room.
Well, and as a lot of people are saying to the Jets right now, he wasn't that good in the room in Chicago in 2010 as the leader there.
That is a franchise laden with with guilt. And
so the Senators sign a 37-year-old center to be in their bottom six. He's going to give you 40 points. They say to you, at what number? Like, at what number do you say, fuck that, too high? Because it's going to be lower than 7. It's going to be lower than 5. He's getting paid for his name right now.
Yep. Yeah, I get it. To me, anything more than 4. Anything more than 4 I'm complaining about.
All right, yeah. We are just about a week away from that season where we will be complaining about things our team has done. Although your team is doing some pretty nice business here. I wanted to get to the Cup final a little earlier than this, but what do you think of the Zetterlund deal? $4 million, 4.275.
4.275
for 4 years.
Yeah.
3 years?
3 years. I think it was 3 years.
I got mixed up because it was Donato and Duchesne both on the same day. I got 4 years. You're right. It's 3 years.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think they're going to be just fine. And the problem with Zetterlund is he is like they brought him in. They wanted to ease him in on the fourth line, and there's nothing is happening back there, right? Like you're not getting anything done with Highmore and whoever else is back there, right? Like it's not happening.
Yeah.
But so he's too skilled to be that far back in your lineup.
No.
Yet there's questions about his hockey IQ to be on a top line, like to put him up with Stützle.
Yep.
Like, the guy can skate and he's got a great shot.
Yep.
Is he necessarily always in the right spots? That's to be determined. I'm not going to close the book on the guy.
Yeah, still a young guy.
So then you go, okay, well, what do you have with him? And again, we just talked about the Jets with their third line. You're like, well, we love the Greg Pinto Amadio third line. You're like, you don't want to mess with that, and so you're stuck with.
And you had at the time had just acquired Dylan Cousins and wanted to allow him to acclimate a little higher, right? You liked your first line, you liked your third line, you wanted to give Cousins a chance to get set with what you hoped would be your second line. Made it tough for Zetterlund when he first got here.
Yeah, for sure. And the team was rolling when he got here.
Yep.
So you didn't want to start messing with stuff. But they're in a bit of an issue with what they do with Cousins, Batherson. You have Perron. Your Claude Giroux is still out there, not signed, not extended yet. You have Zetterlund now. And so who, if anybody, is the first line is a first-line winger there? Like,
Right.
who are we putting there? And can you, with all this Giroux money or talk or lack of a signing, can you, like people saying similar to Tavares, right? People like, give that guy $1.5 million. And you're like, fuck, man. The guy had, like...
We all want the hometown discount, but you can't slap him in the face either.
Well, and so, and with Giroux, you're like, can you pay him less than David Perron?
Oof. Yeah, there are dynamics in the locker room, right, that say, you know, I got to get paid more than that. It's just ego. It's just these guys are alpha guys. They're
Well, and Claude's competitive is all.
yeah, of course, man.
And so, Perron's getting $4 million right there, bam.
Yeah.
And last year, Perron wasn't healthy, but
Yeah.
Giroux stepped back, but he still had 50 points.
Yep.
And so that is a big step back, but you can't pay him like people saying give him $3 million. You're like, yep. Are you taking $3 million? And
I am, yes.
yeah, sorry.
Terribly spent.
But where are you playing him?
Well,
And
this
so
is
to
yeah.
me, this is but it's married with the Zetterlund
Yep.
thing to me in terms of you've given 4.27. That only leaves Ottawa with 11, I believe. To spend.
They did not come into this offseason with much money to spend or much room to spend.
Right, and so you bring Giroux back, and you have Zetterlund, and you have Perron, and you have Cousins, and you have Batherson, and you have to make that work
Yep.
because that's not enough money when you still need a backup goalie and you still need fourth line players. You are sort of, so to me, Zetterlund needs to come in and probably needs to start in your top two lines. Like he's got to be a top six guy.
Yeah.
And at 4.275, that doesn't scream first line player. And so how many
But isn't
middle
Batherson also at around 4 or 5? Like he's not making much, is he?
He's 4.8, 4.9.
Like if you could make that work, you're set up well. Like and I don't know that it will, right? Like we didn't see enough of Zetterlund in the top 6 to know if he's ready to do that for you. But if you could get away with that, and I know that means Giroux is probably gone and Ottawa fans aren't going to like that. And I don't think he wants to leave, but if you just can't find a number, like I don't like Zetterlund on my third line. I don't think that really works.
No.
So, if you're going to do that traditional Pinto checking line kind of thing, I don't think that's a Zetterlund spot. So, yeah, he has to fit in your top 6. Or they're expecting someone else, whether it be Batherson by trade, and they tried to shut that down. Whatever, management teams do that.
You box yourself in by saying, now, Steve Staios certainly said, we aren't shopping him.
Yes.
That doesn't mean people aren't calling.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But when because Andlauer said, no, this is not happening.
Yeah.
That sort of puts the shackles on
Yep.
Steady Steve. And so, but to me, you need, if you're going to free up money, if you want to bring in a Jason Robertson, whatever. I'm just to me, you are
Mitch Marner.
No, thank you. Way too much money, man.
Yeah.
We don't have that MLSE money.
Apparently, neither does MLSE.
Yeah.
Not enough to get him back here.
Yeah, well. And so to me, it comes down to when you start moving the little Rubik's Cube pieces around, you're like, money's moving quickly.
Yeah.
And spaces. Like they need more scoring and they need a top flight guy. And you can't bring this back status quo because the team couldn't score last year.
No.
So who's leaving? And you're looking at Batherson, you're looking at Shabbat, a couple of likely candidates.
Yeah. And as you look at that, for me, that Zetterlund deal, I like that number, whether another guy in the forward group gets moved out or not. I think 4.275 for a guy who can score 20 goals and
I think
and will probably, if given the opportunity, score a few more, 24 to 26, 27 goal guy.
Yeah.
I think that's on the table. I like that number. And I like that number. As I said, I did a little show on it late last week. I got no beef with him at that number, even without the cap explosion. I think this is a nice number. You bought up. You don't have to go to arbitration with him. You bought up 1 year of UFA. We'll see where he fits and how it works. And now Travis Green has a whole summer to know I got this guy, right? How do I fit him in? How do I make that happen?
And that is the thing, though, right? Is when you start looking at those pieces.
Yeah.
Is the number is nice. I think it's a lot to expect to pay a sort of what would be middle six money.
Yeah.
But I want first line returns. And
This is it.
And I'm not saying that is what the hope is, but I'm just saying you do need.
He's going to have to feature more prominently on PP2, and
you have that first line right wing spot is still calling out. And can you bring a 50-point Claude Giroux back in that spot? And if that's the case, and he could give you 60 points, whatever. But
Claude Giroux was. I thought last year, like you said, he got his points, but I found him quieter than the year before.
Yep.
And in the playoffs,
was quieter than the year before.
Yeah, and in the playoffs, I felt like, he was valuable certainly on the draw, the same way that Tavares had been. But while an emotional spark for the team perhaps was still kind of being pushed out by some of the big D that Toronto had at the time, I don't know what the number is for Giroux. Like this, I certainly understand why this isn't done yet. This is a complicated. I want to stay here. I want to be here.
We want you want to stay, but there are layers to that question.
Yeah, that's right. And, I think that's what they're dealing with a little bit on the Tavares thing as well.
Well, people...
Go ahead.
Like I was Pierre LeBrun saying there's no way Tavares is coming back for less than 5.
Yes. David Pagnotta on Saturday from the fourth period reported that Toronto's first offer to Tavares was 3 years, sub $4 million. Okay, I get it.
3 years for like $4 million. Like, what are we doing? That's insulting, in my opinion, for a guy who had almost 80 points last year, 38 goals.
Yeah, 37 or 38 goals.
Great on the draw still. Yeah. Like, I get he wears the failure like everybody else.
How
does.
bad do you want to stay, man? I want them to use their leverage on this.
If I'm him, I'm leaving.
Cool. See ya.
Yep. And that's.
I'm not saying $4 million is my drop point where I'm not going above that, but I wanted to hear that they had started. Hey, do you want to do this or not? You've come home. You have set your family up here. You have spent your reputation on that. Are you now up and leaving to Minnesota? Is looking for a second line center. By all accounts, they're shopping Marco Rossi.
That's interesting.
It is really interesting, man. But they'll be needing a number. Like half the league needs a number 2 center right now. Montreal badly wants a 2C. Like there would be other places for him to go. I want them to push him a little and say, how bad do you want to stay here, man?
And if I'm Tavares, and I say this with all due respect, I did it. I came home. I did the 7 years, and I was the captain. Things have not gone well.
Right.
I've had the captaincy taken from me. We have not had great success.
Great success.
You now want to give me $3 million? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I was only happy to hear they did start down there. That's all I'm saying.
I understand.
I don't expect it will land at 4 or whatever. If it's somewhere between
I got to bring my own lube and spread my own cheeks. Like, what are you doing? It's a lot of work for me over here. And so if I'm him, I get it. It's okay, John, to just, or Claude, whoever we're talking about, to go, if it is, like the reality is, I know Tavares has made a shit ton of money in his career. But at the end of the day, that guy could probably get $6.5, $7 million on the open market.
Well, they said that the Brock Nelson out in Colorado got 3 times 7.5 or whatever it was. Tavares shouldn't be.
Is better than him.
Yeah, taking less than that.
100%.
The other name that I floated though late last week was Matt Duchene, similar age, 70-point pace guy, just took 4.5.
Yeah.
So,
but he's still getting Nashville money.
Yeah, that's right. $6 million of it this year, then down to 1.5 and 1.3 over the next 2 years.
Yeah, he's made more than whole by Nashville.
That's right.
Because I'm not paying him $8 million either.
No, but like I'm sure the Leafs can say to Tavares, "Hey, guy just took 4.5. We're being pretty generous here at 5.5." And he's going, "Hey, that was my comparable on the market, and he's gone. Somebody else is about to bid more for me now that he's off the market." So everything's got a wrinkle effect, right? Everything's got a ripple effect.
And I get it. If Tavares said, like, if LeBron is saying nothing south of 5, So a 5.5 gets it
I
done.
think LeBron was suggesting closer to 7. Like,
Oh, I thought I said don't even come to me with
Okay.
with anything.
they came to him under 4.
South of 5. So,
Okay.
but if would you be okay with Tavares at 3 times 5.5?
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, I think I would do that.
Right.
Because there's nothing out there. There's no alternative. Like, you've needed an upgrade on him for a while now at 2C, or at least a strong.
We need an upgrade on that 38 goal, 78 point guy.
But he got pushed out at the end of that series. We talked about this against Florida.
Yeah.
And so they're not going away. Like, Florida's going to be good again next year and for a while. So it's not. The problem is, if he says, I'll stay for 5.5 or 6, you have to do it. Because now, if you don't, not only do you not have the upgrade on him, you also don't have him. And you're buried. Like, you will be life and death with the Habs and the
Sens
Red
and Sabres,
Wings. And yeah, you're down in that group now.
And if you look at Tavares,
I hate that group.
I hate those.
I don't want to go back to that.
That's exactly right. It smells at the back of the bus. Nobody likes it back there, man. It does. It comes down to Tavares has to look at it and go, well, look at that Tanev contract.
I think that's what the Leafs will
Give me
ultimately end up doing.
Give me term. I'll take less.
They'll give him 5 years, but that's now
Yes.
got to be that has to be under 5 now.
Okay, and I just skimmed the LeBron article.
Because that was the problem last year with that Tanev deal. They got Leaf fans all excited saying they're going to spread that out over a long term and bring that cap hit down, and it did not come down as far as we all thought it was going to.
And it's only, is it 6 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Fuck is it ever, man?
Yeah, so if you look at it and you go,
And the way that guy's taking hits and blocking shit, you're like, oh my God.
but like 20% more than anybody else.
Yes.
He's not making it.
No,
Ladies
he's not.
and gentlemen, the back half of that contract is
Well, this is it.
long-term
This is why I'm willing to give
injury.
Tavares, 3
wants-
years or whatever. If he's no more than 3 years, if it's got to be a big cap hit, because they're going off a cliff within 3 years.
3 times 6.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Or 5 times 4.5.
I'll do that first. Because it's not going to matter.
5
it's
times
not.
4.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not going to matter. If it doesn't happen here in the next 2 years or whatever, Matthews is walking away, Tavares is aged out, Riley's aged out. They're going to have a bad time here very soon. So what can you get done?
You sweet talker, Matt. Welcome back to the studio, Rob. We're predicting doom.
Yeah, in the
for the Blue
27-28
team.
season or whatever,
Yes.
6-7, yeah.
Not soon enough, but I do like this.
That's where the show ends, by the way,
Artificial-
ladies. When the Sens are riding high and the Leafs are back in the shit. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah.
It's been 12 great years
Yeah,
of TC.
it's been great. But yeah, there's much afoot. Mm-hmm. To me, this is a very interesting offseason.
100%, man. And everybody's got money and
Not
nobody's
everybody.
selling.
Some have more money.
Only Pittsburgh is selling. Everybody, think of the teams for years now that we have considered the shitbirds that will always sell or take bad contracts. Anaheim and San Jose want to step forward. Chicago is trying to step forward. Columbus feels like they were close last year, and they're not wrong to feel
Phoenix
that way.
is in Utah.
Montreal, Utah, you're right, is ready to take a big swing. The teams that we have thought of, Philadelphia is trying to get better. There is nobody right now trying to sell, trying to get worse, except Pittsburgh. Boston wants to bounce back. Minnesota's finally got that.
Free of the Parise.
This is it.
Money, yeah.
Everyone is trying to win right now, and that is going to make, at the same time this cap is exploding, you are going to see some crazy shit on July 1st and 2nd. You just hope it's not your team.
Well,
It also means you're not getting the guy either, but
were you
like Sam Bennett, if he leaves, and he's not going to, but forget, that guy's going to make $10.5, $11 million if he wants to go to Utah or... It's insane. And I've been saying, everybody's going to have to get used to this, recalibrate the higher cap numbers. That's a mental thing we're all going to have. Even beyond that, you're going to see Nick Ehlers at 9.5.
I was just going to say 8.5.
Yeah. It's
Too
going
much.
to be insane.
And
here.
Nick Ehlers going to give you 46. The best 47 games I got.
That's my dream scenario for the Leafs. Go get those 47 games.
Yeah. To me, were you as intrigued as I was when Bill Zito said he could sign all three of those guys and they have $18 million in cap space? And they still have more things to do other than, like, I understand they have 10 and 4 and their goalie already, 10 forwards, 4D and goalie Bob already under contract.
Well, and Brad Marchand and Sam Bennett have both drunkenly proclaimed at Florida's finest nightclubs, "I'm not fucking leaving."
Yeah, well, and Ekblad is saying always, "No, this is home for me. I'm not
I'll
leaving."
stay. I've given my body to this.
Because you're looking at now, because if I'm Marchand, I maintained right up until halfway through the playoffs that he was probably going back to Boston.
Okay.
But if Boston was giving him, they wanted to come in under 6.3, which what his existing contract was.
Yeah.
Man, that guy, because
No
that's
shot.
a guy who played under market value on that contract, because he and Pasternak both signed those
It's
contracts.
exactly at the right moment.
And Johnny Gaudreau was still in Calgary.
The anti-Toronto thing.
Before it went boom.
Yeah.
Like honestly, 2 months later, those guys all just, everyone else got paid.
Yes.
And so if you're Marchand at 37, I understand you won your cup, but you have a chance. He has a chance to strike it on this.
And like you said, has not had his big payday. And I know it sounds crazy to the rest of us, but 6.3, he's been underpaid. He's
In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which has
Tax.
an almost
Oh, it's the
Canadian,
taxes.
yes,
Yeah.
crippling taxes. So
all the insiders are saying there's $24 million out there for that guy. 3 times 8, 4 times whatever if he wants to.
he'd be insane to walk away from that. You won again.
Yeah.
You know, his career will not be bookended, but to me, he's the guy. I think Bennett stays. I think Ekblad stays.
too.
And I think Marchand gets, as Matthew Tkachuk would say, or the kids, gets the bag. Grab the bag.
It sounds like Toronto is prepared to go there. It sounds like LA was actually very close.
I saw Marchand showing a little leg to Toronto there the other day on X. Hey, he's like, hey, you know, the people want to see it.
I definitely take him at his face value. He's never trolling anybody, but
No.
it sounds like that LA was right there with Florida at the deadline, and it was Marchand who said Florida. Like,
yeah, that he
had the choice.
put the kibosh on the Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, with a full off season, would he consider that? It sounds like they're prepared to go there. So, you know, if he's happy enough and he's got 2 cups now and he's prepared to stay for a little less, like, it wouldn't shock me, but he's not one of these guys who has yet captured the bag, so to speak. So go out and end up where you end up.
And let's be honest, you look at that guy and he had
Look at him.
an unbelievable playoff.
Yeah, man.
Like, I thought it was a flip of a coin right till Game 6 who was going to be the Conn Smythe winner.
It was always Bennett, the goal scoring leader.
To me, it was Game 5 and 6. Marchand just didn't do enough.
Yeah.
But if he would have made a little noise in either one of those, he's there. But
problem-
that to me is a guy who has been on the decline.
Yes, of course.
And I'm not sure if you were talking about this earlier or where, but the reality is at Four Nations, he stood out in not a great way.
That's right.
In terms of the high caliber of play at the Four Nations, and he just couldn't keep up.
Well,
now, that flies in the face of what we saw in the playoffs.
Sure,
But
but-
this is a guy who is ready to me, is ready to go.
Any minute now.
Yes.
And you could, in theory, like, he just played on their third line. So he's eating other third lines alive. You're going to pay him $8 million. You're going to bring him in and probably have to play him in your top 6 to justify that kind of money.
Yeah.
And now, can he go against top pairing?
He's the Zetterlund conversation on steroids.
I guess.
But you're doubling that. You're
double the money.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're doubling the money, and with that comes double the expectation.
That's right. And so I won't be shocked at all, honestly, if he ends up in Toronto. That scares the shit out of me, though. That is a contract that... But as I said, they're 2 years away from... I think last time I said 3 years. I keep shortening the leash. But
It's next year. It's next year.
one more crack at this.
But you are looking at, to me, that guy is... and
If you think that guy's coming in to play on the top line with Matthews and Nyes, you will be horribly disappointed. He's not that guy anymore.
Right.
He's just not.
And do you think he'll be that next year? Or the year after that?
Right.
It ain't getting better,
It's
ladies
not
and gentlemen.
getting better.
And so if I'm him, Grab the money. Grab the money.
That's right.
And if you want to go out to L.A.,
Yeah.
be in a spot where whatever. I understand. I don't think he wanted to be on the West Coast. That's
Right.
part of the problem.
Yeah. Would he consider it with a full off season to get his family situation?
Yeah.
in
Well, I
check?
think he'd love it in L.A.
No doubt, man. Yeah.
He'd be out there doing whatever,
Doing LA things.
rolling around with Johnny Drama.
I just started watching Entourage again
Hey,
this weekend, man.
Could you not see Brad Marchand with Johnny Drama and Turtle doing his thing?
Actually, I kind of see Brad Marchand as the turtle of that group, constantly busting on drama.
yeah, perfect. But
Yeah.
to me, that is, he'd love it out there
Yeah.
with the weather.
Yeah.
And, come on, man. At the,
It's always silly little
at
things.
the Pink Pony Club, man,
mentioned-
West Hollywood.
He mentions the, out of nowhere during the season, I grew up a Leaf fan. You're just like, you trolling motherfucker. Like,
Yeah.
could you just go away for a little while?
Yeah.
No.
Well, the people want to see it.
The
That's what he
people
said.
wanna
The
see
people
it.
want to see this.
Yes.
And I want some of that sweet Toronto
MLSC.
cash. Yes, exactly.
Give me a piece of Mitchie's money.
Yeah, whatever. I'll take.
Just 8 of it. That's fine.
Give me 60% of what
Yeah,
you're going to
8.5 because it's Ontario.
Yeah.
You got to help me out here, but
This is it. So to me, that would be delicious. It could have moments of terror for other teams, but I think in the end it could be heartache. It could be heartache. And so if I'm, that's not Marchand's fault.
no.
Grab the money. Grab the money and run, Brad.
From Brad,
Yeah.
Tree Living.
Exactly. Whoever's going to give it to you is what I'm saying, man. Take the money and run.
There was some Oilers stuff I wanted to get to, but my beer's pretty light here. So let's take a break. We'll circle back. We'll get to a little more of the Oilers and some comments made there. Maybe some Blue Jays, maybe some Red Blacks, whatever else is on Rob's mind. John Jones showed himself to be a bit of a douche this weekend.
Again?
We'll get into it.
'Kay.
Stay there.
Me? Do I have to stay here?
We have a very tight budget to do what she's asking. We'd have to raise taxes.
Way too high as they are. Taxes.
It's your children's future.
Children are important. Yes.
It'll cost you.
Oh, the taxes. Raise taxes.
Come on.
All right, that's a good point. Yes. Oh, yeah, the taxes. The finger thing means the taxes.
All right, we're back in here. I should remind the good listener that later this week, at an interesting time, we will be hearing from our friend Angela Thompson from the Lake of Bays Brewery.
Whoop, whoop.
They have merged, is what they're calling it, with another one, Sawdust City.
Okay.
A big name off the board. Lake of Bays has become the lake that pays if you are a well-run nearby
The
brewery.
lake that pays. I like it. That should be on a T-shirt.
Yeah. Patent pending.
Okay. Yeah.
Send that over here, Lake of Bays,
I
if
would.
you're,
There may be a couple beers in that for you, Matt.
Yeah, ideally. In which case, patent no longer pending. Do what you need to do.
Yeah.
I'm cheap. I work cheap.
Work for beer. We'll work for beer.
Will work for beer. That's well established
Yes.
at this point. So that'll be, I think you'll hear from her on Thursday morning. So stick around for that. We'll talk some Ottawa sports with her and certainly the latest developments in the craft beer world.
Yeah.
What are you having over there, man?
I am, because Mike and Heather swung by and they were so gracious with some of their pints. And I've actually kicked down the road some of the other more interesting stuff that they've brought. I've gone to, like any kind of people who bring beer,
Spit it out, Junior.
good etiquette,
Yes, okay.
right? So they brought over, it was a carrier of 6. But they had got me 4 beers from Peck.
Right.
So they're like, what do we got here? Let's grab those 2 beers because you can't bring 2 empty slots in the carrier, right?
Yeah.
So the other 2 were oh, Christ.
Same over here. Splash.
Yeah, anyways, a little dip in the pool here. This is the, and you maybe can smell it. This is the Blueberry Blonde from Broadhead, which I think you've had on here.
Yes, I have.
Is this not the one that's PWHL? Is Emily Clark involved with this?
Broadhead was the brewery, but not this
Not this beer.
beer, I don't believe, no.
So, and honestly, as soon as I cracked it, you get it comes in. It's a blonde at 5%.
Wafting out there, yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you ever find blueberry smell a bit like diarrhea?
No.
You ever get that?
No. Or
Like
I
it-
wouldn't drink it.
Next time you see a blueberry muffin, anyway,
Smell it. See if it smells like
Yeah,
shit.
listen, I'm just telling you, man. It's just a hint. Just a hint.
Okay. You're eating the wrong blueberries, I think.
Don't eat that, Jimmy. That's horse shit.
The red cheese is wax.
Yeah, the red cheese is wax. What do you got over there, Matt?
This is one that you've brought along for me today. Speaking of good beer etiquette, this was an 8-pack. So it would have been perfectly reasonable to see 2 empty slots at the end, right? Bring somebody 6 beers is totally reasonable, totally fine. But
The 2 end pieces stuffed with toilet paper.
yeah, there you go.
Blueberry, diarrhea.
Okay. I don't even want to try this now. I don't know what your beer fridge is all about over there.
Yeah.
This comes from Pistols Brewing Company, which is formerly known as Evergreen. Was out on Saturday with a couple of our mutual friends and discussing the fact, and I said to you the same thing in the green room, I found kind of same spot here as things have been moved around, pushed to the back of the fridge, the Limerick to Lowertown Stout in a bottle from Evergreen from Christmas. It's a bit of a collector's item now, as they have rebranded over there at Evergreen. Not completely certain on all the machinations there on how that has come together, but anyway, this is the Big Hoss IPA, 6%, from Pistols Brewing Company, formerly known as Evergreen.
Same place, and I was in there, and they still actually there's still Evergreen beers
Pistols.
in there. So, yeah,
So working through the
the old stock.
yeah.
I think the brewing, a lot of it's the same. So this is, I think if you liked what they were doing before, you'll probably enjoy this. So, and it's interesting because in that same neck of the woods, a go-to for me in the West End was Stittsville's Covered Bridge.
Yep.
Because they love their browns, they love their porters,
Sure
they
did.
love their stouts and their imperials. They're open again.
Really?
They are open.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that.
They're
I hope
at-
the same recipes are still there, same ownership.
Yep. And
I'll
they're-
be honest, I don't really care if it's the same ownership as long
Right.
as the recipes were left behind.
So there's somewhere, and I don't know exactly, but they've moved out Dunrobin, Pakenham,
Okay.
Fitzroy,
Right next to the
like,
distillery there.
like somewhere out there. They
Okay.
are out. So I am actually, I'm going to make a trip. I'm taking
worth the drive to Fitzroy.
to Acton.
Yes.
I'm taking a bunch of.
There's nothing there for beer.
Yeah,
we know of. If you're a craft brewery in Acton, let us know.
Yeah.
And send us some shit.
Exactly. We'll plug you. But I'm going to take a bunch of time off this summer. You know, my traditional summer, maybe 3-day weeks.
Right. Yeah, the Monday, Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I plan on making a bunch of tours. I want to get over to the to West Quebec, start checking out some different.
Never heard anyone
breweries
say
over
that
there.
before.
Yeah, just for the breweries actually.
know,
And my
yeah.
aunt and uncle have a sweet cottage up on Meech Lakes.
Right.
I may make some day trips up there, hit a couple breweries. So, but yeah, this summer I want to make it out to wherever Covered Bridge is, because to me I've always been
We'll find you.
a huge fan of
That's right, man.
of what they do. So I'm liking this. This is this blueberry blonde from Broadhead, very subtle, easy drinking. The blueberry is there, but it's nice. It's in the background. It's a good drink.
I've always kept a couple of those in the fridge, as it is our friend Amy's favorite craft beer.
Okay.
So there's always a couple of them kicking around, or at least there were. They may not still exist. People reach in, they grab things or whatever. But
Well, and it's
it is
ve-
a popular one.
And
People
it's
love that.
super mild in flavor.
I'm trying to remember now. Maybe it was Matty Conisvita who said that was a go-to for him.
Well, he's out in the East End too, right?
Yeah.
So Broadhead, not
He's
far
getting
from
ready. Can't be more than a week away from heading over to England for the Oasis kickoff of their the tour
Well, and to see
in Manchester.
to
he's
see
going.
Oasis in Manchester,
Yeah.
like they're a Manchester band and
Sure.
and it's an iconic, but also you have no idea if they'll make it past the Manchester.
This
show.
is it. Get in there early, man.
I'm going to see this because it may be a fuck smash. Like it may all be done
Yeah.
here tonight. So
We joked about this about another band not too long ago. I can't remember who it was now. And then certainly when they added the Toronto dates to the Oasis tour, it came up again like, buy with care, right? Like, if they make it this far.
Yeah, for sure. And I would have actually gone to see them. But the tickets went.
Yeah, oh yeah. And for me, they're one of those bands that, certainly I know, but I didn't love. Like, I wasn't a hardcore. So am I getting in line at 10 a.m. with the hardcores to spend that kind of money? No. Should one fall into my lap, someone would be like, hey, so-and-so bailed. It's whatever, $200. So I'd probably do it.
Have you done the legwork?
Yeah, I'm not doing the legwork. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
that's you.
Yeah, that's it. Should the opportunity arise. Yeah.
Right. Like there's probably 20. Like I've never been. I don't even know if I've owned any Oasis.
Right.
But there's 20 songs that are easily right away and they're going to play the hits, right?
Of course, yeah. That's
play the hits. So them and I'd put Coldplay also at Rogers Stadium. Both of those acts.
That one. The Oasis, if so-and-so came to me and said, somebody canceled, do you want to come? You actually have to pay for the ticket. I would do it. Even if someone offered me Coldplay for free, I'm not going.
Okay. And I am putting Oasis first. I am not but they are one of those bands that you sort of go, okay, that to me, those days are numbered.
100%.
I would go and see.
Because half the reason to go to Oasis is maybe he'll be there when it melts down on stage, right? See
when they start throwing shoes at each other and whatever else.
The Jeff Jarrett guitar over the head.
Yes, exactly. I think of a honky tonk man.
That's totally reasonable too, man. Yeah. It's, we didn't talk at all about the Oilers, who look.
What? Oilers?
0-2 to start the playoffs, and then 12-2 from there on out up until the final.
Buzzsaw.
And then it honestly. There was a lot of talk after 2 games of the final, and Kevin Mickey and I kicked it around on that Monday morning. People talk, is this the best Cup final ever? And look, 2 games.
Maybe as late as 3 or 4, there was still that talk.
And it never, at 2 games, I was like, we can talk about it, I guess, but it felt too early to be saying it. And after that, for me, it really wasn't. Like, teams were getting outplayed. Like, Edmonton had to storm back from 3-0 down at one point, and it just always felt in this final like Florida was the clearly better team, and more so than last year, which sounds silly because Florida got out to 3-0 up, and it but that one to me didn't feel as dominant as this one where they won it in 6 and were never up 3-0. It's a bit of a cognitive dissonance to be looking at this and go, this has gone 6 games and a couple of them have been to overtime and it looks really close, but it's not. And last year it felt like, or it looked on the scoreboard like Florida was beating the shit out of them, and it didn't feel that way. Like, to me, last year's final was a more compelling final.
Yeah, well, because they went up 3-0 and then Edmonton won 8-1.
8-1.
6-2, whatever. There was 2 games that were
emphatic.
Blowouts in the other way, and the Mo was all going the Edmonton way, whereas this could have been a 4 or 5 game series.
Yes.
Really, like Edmonton jumped up and stole that first game.
Yep.
And good for them.
Sure. That all counts.
That's why you have home ice.
Yep.
But it does come down to, they don't win that, because even when it was Marchand, I think, scored that tying goal in the game where Edmonton came back from 3 down to go up 4-3, and then Florida tied at 4-4 late, and you're like, okay, this is
here we go.
But the numbers were just sort of, they became an avalanche of first period scoring, right? And a team like Florida who will put the nipple clamps on you, right? For them to completely dummy Edmonton in first period scoring, that stat about lead, time with the lead. Yeah,
it was 255 minutes to like 40 or
30.
30, yeah.
So that's damning, right? In terms of
because like you used to get that, like when you'd see the late 90s Devils or something, if you get scored on first, you're probably going to lose. Like they were just going to choke. This wasn't that. Like it was every bit as effective, but Florida, when they were leading in the third period, didn't just sit back and trap. They kept coming at Edmonton and stayed on the forecheck and just ground them into, the breakouts were the big thing when people started breaking down, not to overuse the word, but the analytics on it, right, was Edmonton their breakout game, those passes out of the zone in the first 3 rounds were elite. And that was without Ekholm.
Elite.
You bring Ekholm back in, you've got Bouchard, you've got Nurse, like you've got your guys, and all of a sudden, like they just could not get out of their zone. And so, like to me, when you talk about having a lead early and sometimes 2 or 3 goals in the first period, you're just like, you're not coming back against these guys. And it's not because they're just going to sit there and clog up the neutral zone. It's because they're not even going to let you out of your own zone. Like,
dog on a bone.
Yeah, man. It was incredible.
And if you look at, and I'll just take a small bit of issue with what you said there in terms of the first 3 rounds. Mm-hmm. If you look at the job, to me, the Kings gave you the blueprint in that first round. They should have been up 3 games to none.
Mm-hmm. That was overtime, was it not? Game 3, yeah.
They were forechecking.
Yes.
They were on the Edmonton D. They were up 2 games to none.
That's right.
They were doing it, and then it's like they stopped doing it. Right. Or either they weren't doing it.
Or ran out of gas or something.
This is it. Yeah. Well, and when you're running your top 4 for virtually 57 minutes of the game.
Right.
And you're relying so heavily on, and you're making bad challenges on those sorts. Nobody else, in terms of Dallas and Vegas, were able to do that.
No.
And so you're right. Those were clinics, and the depth scoring, and you knew because we'd all watched it, right? What Florida does is the exact antidote to what Edmonton does, and that to me there was no way. Like I think the last time I was in here, I certainly was picking Florida.
Yeah, we posted Florida in 6. There it is.
And I
both rooting for Edmonton.
Nope.
Oh, well, I was rooting for Edmonton. I wanted to see Connor hoist the cup.
I think what you said was, what an asshole.
Yes.
That was me.
Okay.
Episode
1540, 1539, 1538, 1530. Oh, right. He's not always here, but I still say it about him. Episode 1, yeah.
What an asshole. I wanted to see Florida win.
Okay.
I did. I wasn't buying all this.
He's an asshole.
And people rap it. I want to see Connor win. That's really what they're saying is, I want to see that Canadian team win.
No, that wasn't it at all for me. Because I don't give a shit about that.
You can wrap it up in
once Toronto went down, I could give a shit what happens to any other Canadian team. Because Gretzky won, and because Crosby won, and because Lemieux won. And if he's going to be in that group, he's going to have to get one of these. The best player.
He's going to have to get one of these.
Yeah. Well, he's going to have to go get it. I'm not saying it should be awarded to him, but I want to see the best player in the world in each generation step out there and hoist the cup.
Yep.
I don't give a shit whether I cheered for Pittsburgh when we were still all supposed to hate Crosby, right? Like
only Montreal fans and a lot of Ottawa fans.
I want the best player in the world. I want that photo or that moment, right, to exist somewhere. And I don't know how many more cracks at this Edmonton's.
He may not have any.
Right. Well, you never know. This may have been his best 2 chances. You may never get back.
Like to go back to back. Well, again,
it's hard.
The fact that it hasn't been done since the Bruins of the mid-'70s.
Yeah.
That teams have gone back to back and not won. Like it's
because we always talk, about the cup hangover. What about the team that went all the way with you and didn't win? Edmonton has now done that twice. When we talk about is Florida going to run out of gas, you have to ask, is Edmonton going to run out of gas? They played as many games. Like, they were there too.
Yeah.
So
it's true, but they just didn't get the hardware.
No, I understand. But that's the point. Somebody went every bit as deep as you did, and they lost, but in terms of fatigue, same.
Don't you get it, Springfield? You lose. Yeah, man. It to me is, and there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees. As long as you're paying Nurse $9 million or whatever it is, and Bouchard's
that's the backbreaker.
And Bouchard's like, hey man, look at that guy over there.
Don't even come to me with less than 9.6.
This is it. This is it. I want Nurse plus.
Yeah.
Who hasn't said that? plus. So to me, they're in a tight spot, and
because Bouchard is the reason he brought that up. He's 10 and a half, 11.
He's got to be double digits.
Yeah.
Like to me, this is
And I know a lot of people melted down over the Connor press conference. I didn't read anything at all into that. He's just.
I'd bet my mortgage that guy signs in Edmonton.
I'd stop short of that, but that is still my expectation. Mid-August, they'll announce something. Like there's the talk was always, if it's not done on July 1st, how soon will Edmonton melt down? They just finished playing like
June 18th,
5 days ago or whatever, right? So I expect he's going to sign there. I'll be stunned if it is on July 1st. I think you go home, you cool off.
I'll be surprised if it's 8 years.
I will too. I think all the cool kids are going to do the
Austin Matthews thing. And why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Especially now when the cap is doing what it's doing. Like, I was annoyed as a Leaf fan that Matthews brought that into the Toronto organization, but he was right to do it. But the cap was flat, so it was still sort of like, you know, he got an extra 300.
Yeah.
It might give McDavid or Marner or Ehlers, even whoever, take 2-3 years, cap bumps again, sign another one, put another $2-3 million on top of your cap hit.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
If you can give me 15 or 16 now and then, you know, maybe in another 3 years.
I'm ready for 17, 18.
You could do 19 or 20.
Yay.
Like if the cap is $115 million bucks, and you're gonna take up 15 or 18% of it, like come on, man, that is.
Yeah. I did say I didn't read anything into the press conferences, but I did read a little something into his comments after the game itself when they had lost, and he said, we're doing the same thing, banging our head against the wall. Did you take that as any sort of condemnation on coaching or systems, or was it just blowing off steam in an emotional moment?
I took it as a comment on the GM and the player acquisitions.
Oh, okay.
To me, I think right up until like Knobloch has been the shiny, happy face, right? Like everything.
This is it about Connor. You got your childhood coach in here. You got your agent running the organization now.
So to me, this is on player acquisitions. Like when you look at Florida goes, we're going to go out and we're going to get Marchand and we're going to get
Seth Jones,
and you go, you got Jeff Skinner, and these are off, and you got Victor Arvidsson.
And in hindsight, like that's the name.
And Trent Frederick.
I loved the Victor Arvidsson signing last summer. It did not work. But in the moment when they went and got it done, I was like, that's a really nice middle six winger who can probably fit when you want to split up Leon and go.
Who may be scratched.
Man, it was not good. Jeff Skinner, I never liked. I didn't think that was going to work. But
well, and again, I understand the money was the minimum, right? Like,
and I guess to be fair to Edmonton, we should at least acknowledge Zach Hyman was out for the final. But
for sure, and that makes
to me they didn't look like a Hyman away from winning it, right? Like
no, not at all. But it does make a difference,
of course,
100%. Because once you start loading up, and you had Barkov doing his thing, Gus Forsling doing his thing, and then you don't have somebody back there with
when
Nugent
you load
Hopkins.
up, McDavid and Draisaitl, you're playing right into their hands.
Yeah.
Sam Reinhart,
welcome,
and Barkov on the same line. We'll try and knot you up at home, and then dare Adam Henrique to score on us. Or
we got two guys, actually the Selke and the Selke runner-up.
Yeah. You want to bring your two guys on it? They had to keep them split, and they didn't have the depth to do it. Like, and all that's hindsight.
So, but that is where the Hyman thing really hurts,
yes,
right?
100%.
If you can't have Nugent and Hyman on that second line to do a little damage, like, and how much juice can you squeeze from Corey Perry? Like at the end of the day, you're like, you got a mammoth.
Well, the Stanley Cup has become the Corey Perry Invitational.
Yes,
and he keeps losing it. So. This is the fun, the meme of it all, or the joke of it all becomes, should your team sign Corey Perry this year? It guarantees you at least a cup final, but you're probably not going to be happy with how it ends. Right?
But if you look at what Dallas, Tampa,
5 of the last 6 years,
Montreal, two teams, two times in Edmonton, and you go, that's 5 right to the cup final, and you don't win. And when they said he has played 270 playoff games,
and 199 of them or something were in the last 5 years,
and you're like, there's guys who don't play, that their career isn't
200
that long.
games in their career, yes,
and you're like 3-4 seasons, man. You're like, that's crazy, right? Just in terms of
but that would be. And look, he's taking much smaller contracts, but that would be the thing right now that makes people go, maybe we could take a risk on Brad Marchand, right? Like maybe we look, some of these older forwards right now are getting it done and showing them maybe we had gotten a little too over the top on.
And he's 40, Perry, too. Right?
Yeah.
Like
So if Marchand's 37,
strong.
fuck, $8 million.
Give him
Let's
five.
go. Let's
5
go.
years,
Yeah.
man. What are we talking about here? 4, 3. Like
He'll be fine.
What are we diddling over this for? Let's keep moving. So to me, they've come so close and yet not made it. And
Without having seen anything that's going to happen this offseason, are they the favorites to win the West again?
no.
Okay. Who is? Oh, wow. This is it. I can shoot down here.
I get it. I'm going to put my money on Dallas. To me, Jonathan
Ben,
Taves
another
and
year
the
older.
Winnipeg
Sagan,
Jets.
another year older.
We love a regular season Connor Hellebuck.
We sure do.
To me, Dallas under whoever's going to coach them.
This will be nothing. They'll iron it over, I believe was where we last left that.
That was me.
I know.
You were very much on the.
This is going to be a problem in
that
the room.
guy fucked up, and I'm like, nah. You know what?
It'll be fine.
Yeah, and maybe he showed his job. He did this, he did that, and I'm like, yeah, okay. That aged poorly from the time of release, like the next day, fired, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And again, I said to you, I was just sort of throwing shit at the wall, right? But yeah, it just couldn't have been. It couldn't have happened quicker,
Lined up,
and it couldn't have been more. And we like those when when Rob looks like a jackass.
We sure
24
do.
Hours later,
Those stay in the show and get emphasis and sound effects, and Matt's get cut out before they get released.
Well, because if it's then I get a text that night going nuts. This did not turn out well for Matt.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's the That's the
Nuts.
That's the
That
price.
is my,
yes, it is. That's the price. Of,
nuts.
price of doing business, man. That's how it goes. So to me, they can't roll back with those two goalies.
That's the thing. Like everyone said all year, I do believe Edmonton will be one of those teams who can get going when the playoffs get closer. But you're not really going to do this again, are you? You're not really going to go Stu Skinner and we are okay. And there were moments.
Where's Cam Talbot at?
Okay. Can I say something really, really, really uncouth?
Yes.
The end of July, there is a judge in London, Ontario, who's going to rule on the 2018 World Junior. If that ruling goes a certain way, Stan Bowman will have no trouble, of all people, reaching out to Carter Hart and saying,
and that's the guy.
You're my boy.
That's the guy when a not guilty comes down on those guys. And I'm not commenting on any of the trial.
No. We're not suggesting it should or shouldn't be, but
Right.
should it go one way?
And honestly, Eric Macramella has done a fantastic job breaking
Rick
it down.
Westhead as well.
Yeah, so to me, you just listen to it and you go, this does not seem like it's going in the Crown's favor. But anyways, Carter Hart, the guy who spoke, the guy who they put on the on the stand, that guy's, as soon as that not guilty comes down, that guy's got a job. And again, I am not.
I'm with you.
I am not in any way commenting
Because
yea
people
or nay.
can do without a Mikey McLeod or a Dylan Dubé or an Alex Formanton, like all reasonably talented. If there's a goalie who can help my team, people will overlook it fast. And
2-time World Junior gold medalist, like a guy with pedigree, and he's hitting an age
if
now.
they decide that's not guilty, he will have a job come September.
Well, you're talking about a league where Bowman is now the GM there.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Quenneville's in Anaheim.
There you go.
Like it's.
But they got a goalie, so
Yeah.
Anaheim does. So.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying.
I know, yeah.
Guys getting jobs.
Yep.
And you're like. Pfft.
And yeah.
And
Whatever.
so,
That's
yeah,
it, yeah.
no, this is it. And
But
so I'm not commenting either way.
No, I'm not. I'm just not ruling it out for Edmonton that maybe you roll back with it because you can't.
Well, he's an Edmonton guy, is he not? Like he's not a
Alberta guy anyway.
yeah, I think he's somewhere in north of Edmonton. Like I think he's up there.
There you go. I
Matt,
guess the counter argument would be, do I want to go to Canada and close to home and whatever else? But
You brought in Stan Bowman.
I know.
It's
I
not like
I mean Carter Hart. Maybe I would rather go to Carolina.
Or Utah,
Yes,
or wherever.
sure.
And all I'm suggesting here is, and I believe wherever in northern Alberta he's from, you bring that guy in, and I'm carrying the not guilty card,
Yeah.
and you do well.
Yep. Mina Vander Kane.
Everything. Look at that guy.
Yeah.
Everything gets smoothed over. Not guilty. is not innocent.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
I know it's met like if he's found not guilty in theory, you've faced what society deems you should face in terms of a trial and whatever else. I'm just saying it's going to be icky.
Yeah, well, and
Stan Bowman won't.
Yeah,
to me, Stan Bowman has shown a high tolerance for icky.
Icky. Yeah. Well, and in the words of Carter Hart on the stand, what you deem to be icky isn't necessarily illegal.
Okay. Yeah.
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 And to me, that is the way the whole thing goes.
You can't come back with Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard.
But you can't come back with Carter Hart.
Well, it's like, I don't know what I would do if I was Edmonton, because like, we all said at the deadline, was John Gibson going to be better? I don't know. It was going to be different. Would that create a better sense of confidence in your group?
Can he stay healthy?
Is Merzlikins done in Columbus?
Merzlikins.
Something like that. I don't know where you're going to find the guy. I just wonder how many times can you ask those guys to look around, look behind them in a cup final and go, I believe that guy will do it tonight. Maybe you can't find someone that you're sure is better, but you need to find someone that you're sure is different.
What's with all the Demko talk? Like with the money they've just given Lankinen. And you're like, so somebody has to move from Vancouver. Could you ever see
trading to Edmonton?
Vancouver trading Demko to Edmonton as they rebuild because they've traded Quinn Hughes to New Jersey? Hey, what about that, man? Yeah. I don't know what they've got in Edmonton, but to sort of make that happen, but they've got Vancouver has a goalie.
Yep.
They have a goalie.
Got two.
Yeah, that's expendable at this point.
And she loves
me, yeah.
Named to the top 6 for Latvia for the Olympics.
Yeah.
We'll get to that another time.
That doesn't happen today?
Jays or Red Blacks? Where do you want to go here to round things out?
Well, the Red Blacks, what a shit show, man. Like I am my perennial late spring, early summer disillusioned with what they've done.
1-2 now.
Yeah. I know they played in a frickin' monsoon.
Yeah, 3 weeks, 3 quarterbacks. You're fine. Nothing to be worried about.
Well, how about a 92-yard single?
Yeah, the CFL at its best.
If you're talking about a monsoon, man, the wind at my back, I've kicked a 92-yard single.
Well, the one thing I did suggest when they went to Dustin Crum was in weather like that.
Yep.
And if you can't throw the ball anyway, here's a guy who's going to run more than you would normally want to. Let him use his legs, see if anything can be pulled out of it. You get a win. But, man, I would be concerned. A lot of the things that we have seen out of Bob Dice teams are reemerging here early. And, just tactically not sound. I wasn't calling for his head at the end of last year, but I did say, I won't not understand if you decide it's time.
I won't be sad if.
Right. They had that great first half, terrible second half, punted out in the first round of the playoffs. And
also the great first half in the playoffs, terrible second half.
Yes. A bit of a microcosm of the whole year. And it just looked like in the first 2 games, man, it was a lot of the same things.
Penalties.
Yeah.
And again, I understand. Like we rave about the game. The game of football is won and lost on the line, right? And I understand they've got injuries to Canadians on the O-line, right? Pelios and Goddard.
Yeah.
And that's huge. And you can't. And that's what's left them having, numbers problems, right, in terms of imports and Canadians. Yep. That's why you see more Adebayoye and not so much Steinbach.
Yeah.
Steinbach. It's just, and the D-line, which I didn't catch a lot of the game, right? I'm sort of in and out on Saturday night.
Same, honestly. Yeah.
But you are looking for way more pressure from that D-core and that D-line, and it's just, I don't know, man.
Well, the number of times in the first 2 weeks where, like, Stanback is just running over people like a truck in the backfield. And you're like, but it's short yardage. So we're going to go to Crum. And you're like, boing. He just bounces off and doesn't get it. And you're like, hey, like, understand your personnel here a little bit better, right? Like, I understand typically, that's a QB sneak kind of situation or whatever. But you got a truck over here and you got a guy over here who's clearly not willing to put himself through that. Sorry, but that's the way I feel about Crum at this point. Just put it in your back's hands and trust this guy. This is a veteran who's had a long, successful career. And he's not going to do it, man. Your quarterback's not going to do it.
And you have this is different OCs, right? Like it's not just this.
They have changed up the coaching staff,
and so you have a new DC as well. And so I'm willing to give them a bit of time, but man, they don't take much to lose me. Right? The penalties, and again, I didn't see what the penalty yardage was on Saturday night.
Right.
But the first two games of the season, they are way out in front in the league in terms of penalties. And that's the same shit we saw over and over and over again. Yeah. And if the D, especially the secondary, continues to give up big plays, it's like I said, I'm always interested. I loved what they did in the offseason.
Yeah.
And I was optimistic, and I want to see the locals do well.
Sure.
But they lose me in a hurry and I got to listen to Bob Dice, and he's not a great quote. And he seems like a good dude.
By all accounts, everybody loves playing for him.
But you don't play well for him.
And not a lot of people loving watching him.
Right. So,
which is becoming an issue in this market.
Well, because you can only draw on the good vibes for so long.
Yeah, and we've brought it up a bunch of times. Yeah, it's a great venue. Yeah, it's a nice place to spend. Great. You going to win? Or, I was over at on Saturday afternoon over at Kraft on Bank. The Rapid were there. And obviously they didn't have a Red Blacks crowd, but they had an excited crowd. And, you could hear the vibes from over on the patio where we were. And, look, that's always been the story on the Red Blacks is it's a really fun place to hang out. But you chip away at it, man, and that can't be it. It just can't be it any longer. They have to.
When people were so pissed at the end of last season with the same old, like you just see these.
He's gotten so excited, right? Like after that first half, and like finally, and then suddenly went off that cliff again, and like it was almost, a tease or a hey,
Psych!
see, come buy some tickets. Fuck you, we're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Oh,
yoink!
You got me.
Yep. So
not Matt in his blue shirt going into a game 7, going this year. This is finally here.
This is my year.
Womp.
Yeah, and
loser.
We'll see this weekend coming up Sunday, I believe, their pseudo Canada Day game.
Yeah,
they got the Argos coming in, and if you can get Brown back, you see what happens. You get a
home crowd,
an in the division win.
Yep.
On a long weekend.
Yeah, if you can get back to 2-2, all's forgiven.
Yeah, for sure it is. Yeah. And so I think
and there is again, if we're going to be reasonable about this, it was a tough start. Like most experts said if you can come out of that 1-1, you'd take it. Now you didn't, but that doesn't mean it wasn't it just means you're behind the 8 ball.
When you had the off season and you have people like Dave Naylor coming out saying, I think Ottawa could be in the Grey Cup final. You have no time to hear, well, they started out playing the presumptive best teams in each division. You're like, we want to be the best team.
If you're supposed to be a top team in the East, then play better.
This is it.
Beat somebody.
This is it. And get out there and take it.
Yeah.
Don't wait for somebody to give it to you. Go out there and get it.
Guess you and I haven't really talked about what the next week or so is going to look like. Whether it be it's not really a long weekend, but it's sort of that, as you called it, I don't remember what you called it. Their faux home Canada Day game.
Yeah, pseudo.
Free agency will start on Tuesday of next week. The draft is next Friday. You coming here next Sunday? You coming here next Tuesday? What's your, put you on the spot?
Yeah.
Both?
I'm going to come all of them.
Okay, there you go.
Because I think I'm taking Monday off, so I'll be off.
Your seat's going to be so dry.
So dry. so dry. Yeah, I think it's a 4-day. I think I'm starting out. I'm doing my 4-day weekends. So every weekend is a 4-day weekend in Rob's world.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's a lot of you right now listening who have various long weekend, sort of work Monday, not Tuesday, whatever your week's going to look like. Yeah, you and I will do something on Sunday evening, as we always do.
Yep.
After the draft, and then something maybe Tuesday evening after we've seen the first batch of free agents get wickedly overpaid, and drop that on Wednesday morning.
Batch, do you still have the cookies out in them? I was talking about we started.
No, they're gone.
We started this with a sandwich talk.
Yeah. No.
I also
can't help you.
We also brought Matt, not just beers, homemade chocolate chip cookies.
Mm-hmm. They're gone. They go.
I think there was 2 dozen there. I think you could.
Yeah, no, they're gone.
I think you could spare 2 of those, right?
We'll see.
Yeah. All right.
We'll wrap this one up here. It's good to be back in studio.
It is good to be back in
things
studio.
start to look a little normal now, at least for a couple weeks, so we get into the summer. We're gonna train Rob, the trained gorilla here. We're gonna get him online.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
We're gonna work on some things to keep everybody as regular as possible through
audio Metamucil.
That's where we'll wrap this one up. Stay tuned. Like I said, later on this week, you will hear from Angela Thompson from the Lake of Bays Brewery, the lake that pays.
Haven't seen Angela since the TCA 10th anniversary party.
She's a peach.
She is. She bought a round of beers.
That's it. Check our Instagram. If you're one of those people who's curious why Bunda didn't end up on the show last week, we were trying to connect with him. He had a little technical glitch that he took a photograph of. A giant tree branch laying on his hydro cable outside his cottage made it a little difficult for him to get online or just be power of any kind.
Yes.
That's on our Instagram at All Can Audio. So we'll connect with him here over the next.
Because I was about to slam him, saying, "Why am I the trained chimp and can't get online?" But yes, I understand a tree on your hydro
slows things down.
It does.
For Rob, my name is Matt. Thank you all so much for listening. Hope you have a fantastic week. Only like 43 goddamn degrees.
Yeah.
Enjoy that.
Get a pool.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.
I've got nothing here. You're giving me baseball and hockey, and I got my keister blowing in the wind. That made me look like a fool here. That's just dumb. I don't want anything to do with this place. This place is run by a bunch of children.